Metro City is an incredible floating city that was lifted above the ground around 100 years ago due to changes on Earth's surface. Its current residents are uncertain about the world below. The city is highly advanced and filled with robots that handle tasks like shopping, cooking, serving meals, babysitting, and other jobs that people dislike or avoid. These robots follow a hierarchy, with the most skilled ones holding higher positions. Behind all this technology is Dr. Tenma, who leads the Ministry of Science and is the pioneer of modern robotics. He creates numerous robots daily, only to dispose of them like waste on the surface. Dr. Tenma has a son named Toby, who stands out in school due to his intelligence and vast knowledge. However, his peers don't like him much. After class, Toby is met by a robot when he reaches his car. A hologram of his father appears, rescheduling their appointment because his father is busy preparing the Peacemaker presentation. Toby's excitement leads him to redirect the car to the Ministry of Science. Despite the robot driver's initial refusal, Toby cleverly adjusts its settings to get his way. Unexpectedly arriving at the ministry, Toby faces his father's scolding. President Stone intervenes, allowing Toby to stay. As Toby showcases his sharp intellect and ability to identify flaws in new technologies and projects, President Stone changes his mind about letting Toby participate. Professor Elephant introduces a groundbreaking discovery known as the Blue Core. This self-sustaining energy source is derived from a fragment of a long-gone star. The Blue Core could revolutionize life in Metro City and even benefit Earth's surface by aiding reforestation and pollution reduction. However, this miraculous breakthrough comes with a drawback. The fragment emits an unstable red energy that can negatively interact with the Blue Core's energy. As the scientist starts explaining, guards suddenly appear and interrupt him, preventing him from revealing the consequences of combining the two energy types. The president himself ordered this interruption because he envisions new possibilities for his re-election campaign with this discovery. Meanwhile, Toby distracts the guard watching him and manages to swipe his card, making his escape. Dr. Tenma activates a powerful robot called the Peacemaker after his team inserts the Blue Core into it. However, President Elephant defies all warnings and replaces the blue energy with the red core to activate the giant robot. The newly awakened creation starts attacking, and despite efforts by smaller robots to intervene, the creature begins incorporating them into its armor as weapons. Amidst the chaos, the Peacemaker breaches the protective glass, trapping Toby alongside the rampaging giant. A burst of light engulfs Toby, causing him to vanish. Robot guards open fire to contain the threat, and scientists rush into the chamber, only to find Toby missing. All that remains is his cap, left behind. Dr. Tenma feels profound guilt over the turn of events. Filled with remorse and hope, Dr. Tenma extracts Toby's DNA and transfers his memories and traits into a robot's body. Using Toby's hat, Dr. Tenma's mental state deteriorates. He ceases to sleep, eat, and confines himself to the laboratory, obsessively perfecting his creation. Professor Elephant lends Tenma a core, which links him to the robot version of Toby. Toby is connected to cables that elevate his body, leading to a powerful energy explosion that throws him to the ground, shattering a table. All seems lost, but Toby manages to rise, embracing his father. Dr. Tenma awaits Toby's awakening at his bedside, although Toby feels a sense of strangeness. Dr. Tenma reassures him, concealing the truth that Toby is no longer fully human. Oren notices the change in the boy, but his boss prevents him from divulging what is transpiring. Toby is then informed that he will no longer attend school and will remain at home with his father, who plans to leave his career at the Ministry of Science. Dr. Tenma imparts formulas to his son, who adeptly solves the exercises. However, Toby becomes sidetracked, creating a small animation with the calculation stations on the computer screen. Disheartened, his father decides to bring books for Toby to study. Within one of these books, Toby discovers a work by Leonardo da Vinci on flight. Inspired, he seeks out Oren and requests assistance in crafting several miniatures of airplanes and flying objects. Suddenly, his father arrives and reprimands Toby upon witnessing the chaos he has caused. Shortly after, the man is overcome with sadness upon seeing Oren wearing his son's cap. Toby attempts to console his father, assuring him that he doesn't mind the robot wearing the item. However, his efforts are in vain, as the doctor is reminded of his deceased son upon seeing the hat. Tenma calls for Professor Elephant, expressing frustration over his mistake. He grapples with the realization that he doesn't perceive the robot boy as his son. Simultaneously, Toby wonders why his father is avoiding him. Some window cleaning robots mock Toby for his human-like appearance, provoking his anger. In response, Toby opens the window and seizes the cleaning robot, teetering on the edge of a precipice. He loses his balance and plummets from the building. Just as he anticipates hitting the ground, rockets appear at his feet, and Toby discovers his newfound ability to fly. Initially enjoying his flight, Toby becomes carried away and collides with objects and individuals due to his lack of control over this power. During his flight, he's captured on camera, rides a train, and soars above the clouds. Following these escapades, Toby ventures into the skies and explores the inner workings of the floating city. Stone voices his concerns about the casualties among his constituents. Just then, his employees detect an unidentified flying object, and once again, Stone perceives an opportunity to further consolidate his power. Meanwhile, Tenma confides in Professor Elephant about the difficulty of looking at his son. However, Toby arrives just in time to overhear the truth being revealed. In a shocking revelation, the doctor claims not to be his father. Professor Elephant tries to console Toby, but the boy leaves, deeply affected. Toby is caught off guard by the president's guards, who immediately give chase. They deploy a green goo to capture him, and Toby manages to evade one of the robots. Unfortunately, he collides with another security guard and ends up being apprehended. Despite his capture, Toby remains resolute about escaping. He struggles against the robotic restraints until he breaks free. One of his pursuers teeters on the edge of a building, and despite the odds, Toby decides to save him. Undeterred, Stone continues his pursuit of capturing Toby. He employs his ship and opens fire, seemingly making Toby's escape impossible. However, against all odds, Toby plummets beyond the city limits. The mayor declares a state of emergency, intensifying efforts to capture him. Upon regaining consciousness, Toby realizes that he is no longer within Metro City but on the Earth's surface. At that moment, several damaged robots approach and engage in conversation with him. A robot resembling a dog, albeit more like a garbage can, approaches Toby and requests his help in finding a person. Unbeknownst to Toby, this is a trap. The robotic dog shoves Toby away, revealing a group of human children who are lying in wait, ready to surround him. These children are fascinated by Toby's origin from Metro City, a place they admire but could never enter due to the aversion some humans on the surface hold against those from the city. Toby narrates his poignant story to the children, and they introduce themselves. However, before Toby can share his name, a new group of robots emerges and ushers him into a room. Despite the abrupt interruption, the trio of robots celebrates Toby's newfound freedom and contemplates finding a new name for him. After a brief discussion, they collectively decide to name him Astro, believing the name befitting for a robot. Despite their pledge not to harm humans, the robots feel constrained and aim to liberate themselves. They plan to capture a surface mechanic named Hamig, responsible for restoring multiple Tin Men. Shortly thereafter, the children successfully locate Toby, who implores the trio of robots to keep his true identity concealed. From that moment onward, he introduces himself as Astro to avoid discovery. Meanwhile, the president visits Dr. Tenma to discuss the use of the blue core in creating Toby's robot. However, the doctor is tormented by his mistake and readily agrees to retrieve and deactivate the boy. He hands over the blue core to Stone for use in Peacemaker. Astro journeys across the Earth's surface with the children to their hideout. Hamig, the only adult present, operates within the hideout. The kids provide him with various salvageable parts, which he uses to repair or incorporate into other robots. Like Toby, Hamig hails from Metro City and now owns an Earth workshop. Conditions are challenging, with everyone subsisting on leftover pizza from days prior. Despite the circumstances, the children find happiness in their situation. In the past, Hamig worked at the Ministry of Science alongside Dr. Tenma but was dismissed for his ingenious ideas. The children seek parts for him to create robots for a championship that has become a cherished tradition. The robot dog attempts to communicate with Zane, hinting that Astro is not made of flesh and blood. However, Zane struggles to comprehend the message. Astro becomes enthralled upon discovering an enormous, aged robot. While the children conclude it's too old to function, Astro astoundingly manages to analyze its system and connect it to the energy of the blue core. Hamig is engaged in instructing a robot in combat when the children's tin monster unexpectedly crushes it. Astonishingly, Astro has repaired the colossal robot. Hamig uses a detection device and notices the robot possesses extraordinary energy, similar to Astro's emission. Despite this revelation, the detail doesn't garner much attention. They proceed to give the giant robot a thorough bath before painting it. After the makeover, they collectively decide to name the colossal creation Zog. Amid the cleanup, Cora nearly loses her balance, but Astro stealthily utilizes his flight system to save her, all while she remains oblivious to his intervention. While playing with the tin dog, Astro is taken aback when he observes Cora attempting to contact Metro City, albeit without success. With a gesture of kindness, Astro takes the phone from her grasp and employs his abilities to activate it. In reality, Cora is attempting to converse with her parents, who reside on the floating city from which she escaped. Placing her trust in Astro, Cora confides in him, believing he will safeguard her secret. Astro contemplates revealing his true identity. Meanwhile, the revolutionary robots clandestinely prepare for their upcoming plan, concealing themselves within boxes. During a performance by Hamig and Zog in the city, Astro discovers the true nature of the championship organized by the mechanic. It involves robot combat, wherein Zog is slated to engage in duels and dismantle opponents. Given their captivity and inability to rebel against humans, the robots are compelled to fight relentlessly to the bitter end. As one of the competing robots readies for battle, Zog unexpectedly enters the arena, causing the competitor to lose hope. Hamig rationalizes the destruction of surface robots, asserting their insignificance compared to the human-like robots of Metro City. In a shocking turn, Hamig shoots Astro, causing him to plummet to the ground. Hamig divulges Astro's true nature to the children and intends to force him into the championship fight. The children, while upset by Astro's failure to disclose his secret, are staunchly opposed to this decision. Soon, a robot enters the arena, and the duel commences. Astro attempts to flee but finds himself trapped within a containment barrier. Forced into combat, he dispatches his opponent by propelling them against the barrier. Hamig's frustration escalates, leading him to deploy multiple robot bots against Astro. Overwhelmed, Astro's despair is short-lived as members of the Robot Revolutionary Front come to his aid. Chaos ensues in the arena, culminating in Astro emerging triumphant once again. However, his victory is marred by the sorrowful looks he receives from the disappointed children. Hamig, seeking a solution, orchestrates a confrontation between Zog and Astro. However, Astro refuses to engage in combat with his friend. Zog extends his massive hand toward Astro, but instead of aggression, he gently caresses the boy's head, attempting to nudge them into fighting. Hamig resorts to shocking them, hoping to incite a conflict. Zog begins moving, positioning himself above Hamig, seemingly intending to crush him. Yet, just before he could carry out the act, Astro intervenes, preventing further harm. As the situation appears to be stabilizing, Stone's ship emerges in the sky, and a squad of robot guards descends to apprehend Astro. Simultaneously, the crowd expresses disapproval, hurling cans at Hamig. Astro eventually surrenders, realizing that no other resolution is viable. The president desires to reclaim the Blue Corps for integration into the Peacekeeper soldier, intending to initiate hostilities against the Earth's surface. Astro is handed over to scientists, tasked with extracting the energy source from his interior and deactivating him. Astro confides in Alephan, explaining his attempts to find his purpose in the world, only to conclude that he is destined to merely serve as a research asset. Dr. Tenma, convinced that his son is no longer alive, does not intervene as Stone takes control. The Blue Core is extracted from Astro, a sorrowful process for Dr. Tenma. Following this, Astro admits to his shortcomings as a son, deeply affecting Dr. Tenma. As Dr. Tenma contemplates handing over the Blue Core to Stone, he has a change of heart and retains the power source. Alephan takes the initiative, secretly providing the object to Dr. Tenma. The doctor plans to use it to reactivate Astro. At this juncture, Stone threatens Alephan with a firearm, coercing him into surrendering his access card. Dr. Tenma opens his eyes to find Toby gone, but realizes that Astro possesses all of his memories, making him his son as well. In a touching moment, they embrace. Astro takes flight once more, leaving the scene. Stone grants the scientists permission to proceed and now intends to employ the Red Core to energize the Peacekeeper. Stone remains indifferent to the potential irreversible consequences of the energy's deployment. Upon activating the monster, it receives orders to annihilate Astro. However, the monstrous creation turns on the president himself. Meanwhile, Astro encounters the two lost robot cleaners while navigating the skies. Witnessing numerous explosions in Metro City, they decide to investigate. Upon reaching the city, Astro is confronted by rampant chaos and a vastly enlarged enemy. The behemoth swiftly launches an assault on Astro, who responds by activating his cannon arms and retaliating. Back on the surface, the children observe Metro City from a distance, feeling a sense of loss despite discovering Astro's well-kept secret. Hamig prepares to escape in a car, abandoning the kids. However, Zog intervenes, thwarting Hamig's escape attempt. Astro engages in a fierce battle against the Peacemaker. The monstrous adversary topples a building onto itself, striving relentlessly to overpower Astro. Employing machine guns embedded in its back, the Peacemaker defends against Astro's attacks. The colossal creature seizes a building from the ground, wielding it as a makeshift weapon. The confrontation intensifies as the Peacemaker attempts to crush Astro. At this critical juncture, the children arrive with a flying car, rescuing Astro just in time. Metro City starts descending toward the surface. Astro takes flight and endeavors to hold the city aloft, utilizing rockets attached to his feet to push it upwards. Despite his valiant efforts, the city continues its descent until finally landing on the Earth's surface. The children rush to find Astro, who lies motionless on the ground. Remarkably, the Peacemaker remains intact and poses a threat. The Robot Revolutionary Front team attempts to confront the formidable foe, but their efforts prove futile against the mighty adversary. In a final effort, the Robot Boy confronts his colossal adversary, attempting to strike with a rod. However, the blow barely phases the monster. The giant captures Astro, positioning him beside its negative energy-charged red core. The resulting explosion propels Astro away, prompting Professor Alephan's cautionary warning against the fusion of the cores, as it would lead to the demise of both carriers. Astro reunites with his father, but his friends are apprehended by the powerful Peacekeeper. Driven by a determination to save them and vanquish his nemesis, Astro makes a direct beeline for the red core. In an act of self-sacrifice, he hurls himself into the core, memories of his joyful moments flashing through his mind. The merging of the two energies culminates in a massive explosion that obliterates the monster, reducing it to mere fragments. Subsequently, President Stone emerges from the wreckage, promptly apprehended by the city's robot guards. The children discover Astro lifeless nearby. Just as hope appears to fade, the Tin Giant shares some of its blue core's energy with Astro, rekindling his consciousness. Astro is hailed as a hero, and in this moment, he finally discovers his rightful place in the world. Cora reunites with her unwaveringly determined parents. Astro bids farewell to his friends from the Robot Revolutionary Front. As life seemingly returns to tranquility, a new threat emerges, a colossal, tentacled monster with a single eye. Fortunately, Astro stands ready, prepared to once again embrace his role as the hero. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe for more interesting movies.